All right, we are going to kick off today with the first match. It's Chinese Taipei up against New Zealand. And do you know what? We're going to get right into the strategy here because with a new expansion, we've got new strategies across the board. Lorinda mentioned that we're going to be seeing some Death Rattle Rogue from the creator of the archetype himself a little later. But for now, let's take a look at New Zealand. And notice there is a class missing, and that is the Shaman. There is no Shaman whatsoever in New Zealand's lineup, Lorinda.
Yeah, no Shaman is a very weird thing to do. Obviously, it was the best deck by a long way, and it stayed that way until yesterday. So not bringing it is weird. But New Zealand did target Warrior in the first time around. Like they picked the second or third best deck. And I was looking through this thinking they were targeting Mage this time. But I think you've got an update on how that actually went down.
Yeah, so according to Patra, their whole strategy was actually to target OTK Paladin, and their logic was that every single team will bring and, as what they were thinking, bring and shield Galakron Shaman because it's clearly the best deck. But they also believed that every single team would bring OTK Paladin because it seemed to be the other most consistent best deck. So their entire lineup is filled with cards like Hikar and warriors with bombs in, etc. And their whole strategy is just not let the Paladin get a win.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. The only issue I have with that strategy in general, and it carried them through the groups, it didn't just carry them, but it absolutely got them through the groups in style. The only issue I have is if you do happen to lose to the deck you're targeting, you're playing a bundle of rubbish. I mean, look at the hand they have. Look at the deck they are currently playing. It is just cards. Highlander Paladin, for instance.
My invention.
All right, so Marina is looking at your good old Galakron Shaman hand. You got the Corrupt Elementalist back when it used to only cost 5. Don't forget that the Faceless Corruptor is also a 5/4. These matches took place before the nerfs happened. So this is Galakron Shaman in its full glorious glory.
Glorious glory.
That's
indeed.
the best I could come up with, I'm afraid. Yeah, that's not good.
That will do. That'll have to do. First game of the day and all that. And yeah, it's perfectly acceptable in Conquest to let one deck just beat you. And if you're not going to bother sort of taking on the Shaman, that's absolutely fine. Obviously, you want to win, but if you've just accepted that Shaman's the best deck and you'll beat the other decks, that's fine. I do like the Holy Wrath targeting strategy, but like I say, it's going to come down to whether they can actually beat it 3 times.
Yep. Well, yeah, and I guess the way that their decks are structured, I mean, another card that I really want to highlight that we don't see in Jack Attack's hand right now, but is in, I think, all of their decks, is the Bad Luck Albatross, which is a 3-mana 4/3 Death Rattle, shuffle 2 1-mana 1/1s into the opponent's deck. The opponent will draw that card, and it will be their entire draw for that turn or for that sequence of draws or whatever. And it also messes up Highlander decks as well. So Bad Luck Albatross is definitely a card that I think some people have been sleeping on, but New Zealand are not going to make that mistake. They are playing a very weird control Highlander Paladin here, which we haven't seen much of since the expansion came out at all. But as you can see, it's running Nazari. Obviously, it runs Dragon Queen, Alexstrasza, along with Zephyrus, because it is a Highlander deck. But yeah, it's a very interesting take indeed.
Yeah, I was personally, back when these decks were submitted, which was last Sunday, I was trying to beat Highlander Mage, and Bad Luck Albatross is just a decent card, because when you're not playing against Highlander, most tech cards are rubbish. You play a tech card in your deck and it does nothing. But a 4/3 that can mess up your opponent's draws in longer games for 3 mana is actually still an acceptable set of stats. Right. It might not be groundbreaking, but you're not wasting a slot like you would do with, cards that destroy secrets or that sort of thing. So
There was a time where a 3-mana 4/3 was just considered a good card without any effect. I'm talking
yeah,
a long time ago, but this with the decent effect, yeah, I mean, Bad Luck Albatross is definitely one to look at.
yeah, and I think that might continue. We've got a lot of 2 attack minions right now in Hearthstone, and a lot of ways of doing 2 damage if you're looking at face hunters and stuff.
I hope you're looking at the
So
board
a
right now.
4/3 might function better than a 4/3 stat line suggests in going forward from here. Obviously there are 3 attack minions, but mostly minions are 2 attack, and ways of doing 2 damage are much more prevalent than ways of doing 3 damage. So it might function almost like a 4/4, which we can all agree are fantastic stats.
New Zealand are going to try to win this game, but honestly, as we've already explained, that was not that wasn't the plan to begin with. Like, the whole plan of the strategy, obviously you do try and win all of the games, but the plan is to beat that OTK Paladin 3 times. And you know, Narina does have OTK Paladin, or rather Chinese Taipei does have OTK Paladin in their lineup, so that's something we'll be looking at later. I did also pick Patra's brain about how she's enjoyed HGG, what she's found about working with Jack Attack, etc., etc. And she did say to me that they've had a lot of fun. Jack Attack has had some pretty weird strategies, such as this one, targeting the OTK Paladin. But the way he has always explained it, it's always ended up making sense. And Patra sort of had no choice but to just go along with it. Because, like, although she sometimes felt skeptical at first, he's then explained it. And it's like, actually, do you know what? Yeah, I can get behind that.
Yeah, after the previous New Zealand broadcast where I mentioned that you needed to have sort of an iron will to be able to handle Jack Attack for several hours, he messaged me and just said, yeah, he thought that was funny. He's quite a lively character, so you can have a lot of fun with him. And, you know, if you don't let that style of, I know he's from New Zealand, but sort of the brash Aussie stereotype get to you, then he is a very fun guy to be around. And you've seen them both having a lot of fun on broadcasts so far. And that is something I think that all of these teams have managed to do. With the standard play being so high at the top of Hearthstone, it's very different from a form person group to play in a group of 2. You've really got to go on with your partner. And we've seen all of these teams that have made it to the top 8 function very well as teams and get along.
Looks like we have a little spectator glitch there. Oh, we just didn't see the discover. That's fine. But Shadow Flame is on the board. So Jack Attack stabilizing nicely here. Looking at Narina's hand, I mean, wow, that's going to be difficult to compete with. Narina has got Galakron, I believe. Everything's actually very small all of a sudden. I think yeah, it's the second card on the left is Galakron, and the next to that is Shadowwalk. So this is going to be, that's going to be a lot of stats coming in Jack Attack's way.
You know, I was going to say it's interesting to see how greedy they'll be with the Shudderwock, but honestly, they might not get that far. This Paladin deck, by the way, I looked at it for a while and went to playtest and thought, you know what, I'm just going to let New Zealand teach me how to play this deck, because you basically clicked Paladin, clicked autocomplete, and put every Paladin card you can find in it. It's got a good curve, it's got a lot of powerful cards. Undertaker, Geppetto, Dragon Queen, Alexstrasza, Hakkar, Nazari, all at the top end. And all at the bottom end is just good, solid Hearthstone cards. But wow, is it a weird deck. I wasn't going to put millions of hours of time into learning this deck when they know what they're doing better than I do. Let's find out how they progress. Again, particularly in other games, not necessarily against the Shaman.
I mean, it's very cool to me to see. I mean, if this deck does take off, it's cool to see a lot of these little cards that we've not really seen be good enough to see play before, like Rebuke, the 2-mana essentially Loatheb Battlecry. Blatant Decoy, which we just saw Geppetto pick up for Jack Attack there. Another interesting card, and it'll be great to see how they interact. But here we go, Galakron hits the board. A lot of damage goes face, easy value traits there. The Claw, I imagine, goes straight into the face, putting Jack Attack down to 10. And now, as soon as Narina wants to, he can just cast that Shadow Walk, get 2 more 8/8s, get another Claw, and pretty much just end the game.
Yeah. Can't have much of that. Just look at Bad Luck Albatross being drawn there. Do you feel the art is somehow different to the rest of the set on that card? I love the art, but it just doesn't seem to fit in with the rest of the cards in the set somehow.
I like it. I like it. I think I see where you're coming from.
All the other cards have sort of got this slightly dark background, and the Albatross has just got this bright blue background. But it's meant to stand out. It's a totally different card to anything we've seen before. Well, it's not actually. We've seen Weasels, but...
Yeah, it's a much more buffed up Weasel, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And somebody will use it to do that. Maybe in a priest deck with Resurrects. I'm not saying it'll be good. I'm just saying that somebody will do it and they will stream it and they'll put a million Albatrosses in the opponent's deck.
All right, so I'm looking at the Shudderwock and trying to work out what's going on here. So that's an instant claw, so that's 5 damage, putting Jack Attack down to 5. Jack Attack does have Nazari in hand, ready to go, and restore his health back to 30. I think it's just worth pointing that out for a second. But yeah, Shudderwock does so much. The claw, the 8/8s, a few 2/1s. It's so hard to justify not playing that card.
Yeah, and the weird thing actually with Shudderwock in this is being greedy with it can be bad because you might generate too many 2/1s and not get the 8/8s that you're after.
Right.
So playing it early is more important than maybe with old Shudderwock, so you'd be as greedy as you could.
But I mean, just look at this. Like, yeah, okay, Jack Attack. You can restore your health back to 30 with the Nazari, but like then you're just dead on board. So
yeah. High Priest Thekal or Thekal in this deck as well. Obviously for the turn everything and then heal up. That card got nerfed in this expansion very slightly because now you can blow up all armor.
Well, Jack Attack is going to have some work. Jack Attack and Patra are going to have some work to do in order to get a win with that Paladin, as they correctly predicted that the Shaman was shielded, and the Shaman did get the win. That leaves Chinese Taipei with their Hunter and the OTK Paladin. An OTK Paladin, that is the big talking point of this series. New Zealand's whole strategy revolves around that. The really fun thing, Lorinda, is when I had my chat with Patra about everything, I actually spoke to her before they played their games. So the way that she was talking to me was very much like, oh yeah, I'm really excited to see how it works out. Right now we're feeling great because the other teams all brought OTK Paladin. I think we're in with a good shot here. And
yeah,
so
I
it's
think
cool to sort of get that perspective before she played the games.
Yeah, I think it was a fair choice, actually, to expect that there would be 8 Shamans and 8 OTK Paladins, because it was the only counter that anyone had really come up with at the time for the Shaman that was anything even close. I mean, there wasn't anything even close to countering it. There weren't many even 50-50 decks at the time.
Yeah.
So to bring OTK Paladin just seemed like an actual bring. This Hunter deck, by the way, we're not going to see much of this in HCG either. This is Mech Hunter.
Yeah, the weird thing about this deck is that, and this is a symptom of HGG deck submission being, I mean, like a week ago now almost, is that more recently, if you've played Hearthstone on the ladder, no doubt that you've played against the new Face Hunter deck with the with all of the leper gnomes going all over the place. It's very, very powerful. I don't think that deck had quite been conceived when the deck submissions happened for HGG. So you've seen Arena with a different version of Face Hunter. It's that good old Mech Hunter from a year or so ago. And I have played quite a bit of this deck in sort of preparing for this weekend. And it does get the job done, Lorinda.
Yeah, it definitely does. I'm not sure how you're doing against this Paladin with all the healing and board clears. And you can see that Jack Attack kept the Spellbreaker here as well, which is a big deal. Stop those mechs from becoming too outrageous. So definitely a chance for New Zealand. You know, it's not just going to be the Holy Wrath. This is a game of Hearthstone now because we're into the decks that aren't Shaman. And really, apart from Japan, any deck that wasn't Shaman wasn't tuned. Again, I'm going to keep on about it. All weekend, Japan did bring the version of Death Rattle Rogue that we now know and love. Other people brought the other Death Rattle Rogue that had things like Cairn lying around in it.
That's right, yeah.
But Japan did conceive, build, and keep secret, most importantly, the proper version of Rogue.
The funny thing about this matchup, like you mentioned with all the heals, it might be a struggle for the Hunter. If Narina was playing the current build of Face Hunter with the Leper Gnomes, I think the Paladin just wins. This version of Hunter should be better at sort of maintaining value into the long run, getting bigger as the game goes on, and actually, I think, has a much better shot than the Face Hunter would have done.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's a decent choice for a deck where you don't know what's going on. As in, you just don't know what the meta is going to be. Face Hunter really only got strong in the last few days because of Rogue. It was about, but it wasn't doing very well. But it can just massacre the Rogue deck. Direct damage to face has always been a problem for Rogue. Someone who can go wide has always been a problem. So the Face Hunter deck has come around because of that to some degree. So this is just a powerful neutral deck. We saw some teams bring Priest for the same reason, just normal combo Priest. Just bring a powerful deck because you haven't had time to make a new broken deck yet.
That bad luck Albatross is really frustrating. Because the 3-mana Met card that's glowing yellow on the left, it gets rushed, but I believe it's only a 4/4. So it doesn't even value trade into that 4/3. So I like the Explodinator coming out here.
Yeah, the funny thing with the Albatross is it's actually not as good at doing what you think it does as it seems, because quite often one of the Albatrosses gets drawn and sort of opens up your deck again. But it's much better as a card, just as a pure stats card, than it seems.
Right.
And I'm glad we're going to get to see some Albatross play in this event.
I'm staring at the Hunter deck list here and staring at that Hecklebot, and I'm wondering what would Jack Attack be afraid of pulling out with the Hecklebot? Like, Bootmaster Flark is a 5/5, but that feels like a good result preventing that battle cry. I guess Missile Launcher and War Gear are like kind of annoying. But otherwise, like, most of the cards in Narina's deck are quite small, and that Hecklebot should be quite powerful.
Yeah, they're going to have to time it well, though, because it is a Highlander deck. Their removal's pretty limited.
True.
So maybe we won't see that. If they can possibly help it until they pick up a Pyromancer to go with this equality, maybe.
Yep, that's true.
But they look like they're in a pretty good position. If you can't see the enemy's hand, obviously Chinese Taipei with a lot of big stuff going on. But not necessarily expected to have quite so much of a big hand early on.
So Narina does have the ability to go with Hot Air Balloon and then the Gobo Glide tech, which is the 3-mana Goblin there on the left, which would gain Rush and become a 4/4, I believe, when a mech is controlled. Instead, Narina just goes with a simple play, plays the Explodinator, and yeah, I mean, it contests the board nicely. Just trying to get that damage in.
Yeah, they're going to have to get it in several times. Here comes the Hecklebot. That's a good one. Stop the Slip Snap coming down late is a big deal.
Yeah, definitely, you take that.
But there's quite a lot of healing in this Paladin deck. Paladin got quite a few good healing cards. Heal Paladin just never really works.
Narina drew a 1-mana 1/1.
Yeah, that's the real power of the Albatross. You just miss your draw step. It's
the power of the bird.
Here's one of my favourite cards of all time already.
Oh wow!
I just love the whole way it's playable. I like tech cards that can actually do something in your deck when they're not tech cards. I think that's important because you get to have the unusual. I was going to say fun effect there. But it's no fun for your opponent, but the unusual effect without necessarily ruining somebody's entire deck. Because that's really irritating, getting a 1/1 for 1 that you didn't even want.
Speaking of tech cards, I'm really surprised we haven't seen the destroy your opponent's armor tech card come into effect at some point in some meta deck. I guess it just sort of works as a tech card without even being in a deck. It just sort of prevents Big Armor Warrior from ever becoming a thing anymore.
Yeah, I think if we're playing Specialist, we'd see a lot more of it.
Sure.
But we're not. And so it is kind of wasted in decks. When it doesn't do its thing, it doesn't do anything. But it'll come around. There'll be a meta where somebody suddenly decides to play a lot of Warrior or Control Warrior, and we'll all get all excited about it because we love Control Warrior as casters. And then somebody will come to a tournament and just tech against it. That's how things tend to go.
All right, Missile Launcher is definitely one of the strengths of this deck, and look at that do its thing. I think it's still my favorite animation in Hearthstone, as a side note.
Interesting.
But, yeah, wow, it did its job. But Zephyr is picked up by Jack Attack. Looks like now is going to have to be the time. The good thing for Jack Attack here is when he gets to turn 10, he can essentially reset his life. So he's not worried about taking a little bit more damage from these bombs for now. Let's see what Zephyr...
He lost Master Spell, I think.
Unfortunately, the Discovers don't seem to be working for this series, but if Master Spell is given... Spell Breaker, okay. Yeah, fine. That's even better, right? It comes to the body.
Better.
Those war gears are looking good though, aren't they?
They are, but there's, full heal coming if we can get to turn 10 with some sort of board. The idea will be to occupy the board between now and turn 10.
Uh-oh.
And then just heal all the way back up. Because they're on the edge of turning this around.
Where's that master spell now?
Yeah.
But again, Jack Attack can afford to take a little bit of damage. Like, if he could consecrate or something here just to get rid of all of this, then heal up with Nazari, he'd be in a fantastic position.
Let me
think. Obviously, the bombs are really threatening, but they're also occupying a lot of board space. So, Narina's options are going to be sort of limited between now and the end of the game, but that could only be 2 turns. It might not matter much. There's also the option in a moment for New Zealand just to race this. Not just yet. But they're going to have a lot of attack on the board.
That's fascinating, but you're right. I mean, Narina does only have 5 attack. And there's not even any space to play any magnetic minions.
Right.
And he can't sacrifice his 5/5 in any way. There's nothing to trade it into.
That was a decision. They were going to play Undertaker, but they suddenly realised, I think Pathwa probably informed Jack, let's not do that. Because he pulled back and just went with all this lot suddenly.
So Jack Attack has 12 damage on the board. Well, now only 7.
Restore 16 health. That helps in a race.
That's a bit filthy, isn't it?
As long as you think you're not dead next turn, you can just go a-racing.
Yeah, I mean, with 9 mana, what's the most they can do? Like Leroy Spider Bomb or something? That's only 8 damage.
Yeah, picking the ideal turn to just start racing this. No, they've got
disgusting. And there's another Albatross. Oh no!
I like how Jack just doesn't stop communicating at any point. It's like being locked in a room with me. Like most people here are just sitting waiting. Oh my goodness, are we dead? We win next turn. How are they going to stop us? Jack's just chatting away.
Just playing some Hearthstone, you know.
It's so important to not get nervous and to just have fun with these.
Absolutely.
You've still got to play your best. You've got to focus, but also just chilling out means you play your best game.
Good hit. Good hit. Now War Gear can take out the 3/4. So for now, Jack Attack's race has been slowed. But Narina isn't going to have lethal damage anytime soon. And there's Alexstrasza!
Dragon time.
Oh, wow! That's just better than Nazari this turn, isn't it?
Yeah, as long as they don't die.
Well, so there's 6 damage on board, 7, 8 with the hero power. So Narina is 11 damage off lethal. How does he come up with 11 damage? That is what Jack Attack is going to be working out right now.
Yeah, Leroy Wargear is 11.
Leroy Wargear is 11.
But you can heal enough to get rid of the Albatross, gain a bit of health back.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you just hit the Crystal Smith into something and then you heal for 2, so that's...
Plus in that 11, we haven't counted the hero power, which is actually another 2 mana, so we've got chat lethal there.
Oh, we found chat lethal. Yeah, alright. Rogue Legendary here, Warlock Legendary there.
Seems good to me.
Summon some 6/6s. Yikes.
Yeah, this one's a scary. I've seen that go very wrong. More albatrosses.
Oh, Narina's whole deck is just albatross. I mean, it's not. There's only 1 remaining. He's been very unlucky to draw all of these.
Yep. It's one of those irritating cards that you draw when you don't want to draw it, and there's times you want to draw it to free up your Highlander deck, And you just can't, and it sits there albatrossing away at the bottom of your deck. Narina's had a very good year. A lot of people won't know who Narina is, but he went 9-3 at Vegas, 8-4 at Seoul, and 5-4 in Bucharest. If you're wondering how he got on this team, that's how. 3 positive results, including 2 very strong ones in the 3 Masters Tour events. And with those results, he was actually... Yeah, must have had a fair chance of getting into Grandmasters himself, but didn't quite get it done.
Two damage off lethal for Jack Attack now. And I mean, Jack Attack could just heal to full health, couldn't he? Like, he's going to win the board over the next few turns. There's no rush to win the game, or even just play the cheaper dragon, the 5-mana one.
Amber Watcher, I believe that's called.
Amber Watcher, yes, correct. Good job.
Would be the first time in history I've known a card name that you didn't.
Nah, you got it. Point
Long may
to
it
Lorinda.
continue.
Lorinda 1, Falcone 0.
Yeah, let's not keep score, because I know I end up about 14-1 behind at the end on that one.
Alright, well, this definitely looks like checkmate. With the Thackle as well, with Nazari able to heal up to a lot of health next turn. 49.
Albatross, concede. Oh, come on!
It would have just made up with the last Albatross, honestly. That was...
Golden Albatross, right? Sell them all in. Get 2-2
well, there
Albatross.
you go. The score is 1-1, with New Zealand getting a win with that rather odd, but definitely very fun Paladin deck. I'm kind of disappointed we're not going to see it again this series, but who knows? Future series, maybe. We are going to go to a very short break, as we are 2 games into this match. But when we come back, we will decide the winner of New Zealand and Chinese Taipei. Will New Zealand be able to take out that OTK Paladin as planned? Find out after this. New Zealand and Chinese Taipei are battling it out to find out which of the teams is going to make it into the winners bracket in this group and which of the teams is going to go down to the elimination bracket. The score is 1-1, and Lorinda, remind everyone, what is New Zealand's plan?
The plan for New Zealand is to target the Holy Wrath Paladin because it was likely to be brought by every team because that beats the Shaman in theory, and the problem with that is their decks still have to be good against other things as well. And the other problem with that is you end up bringing weird stuff like Galacon Priest. Now, going back a week in time, Galacon Priest wasn't completely rubbish. It was a deck that was being messed around with. People were trying to make it work. And presumably New Zealand felt that it was good enough to bring to this event, or they wouldn't have brought it. But it isn't particularly great, can suffer a lot to just being hit early and fast.
There were some nice tempo tools given to Priest this expansion. The Wretched Reclaimer that you can see on the screen is an example there. Destroy friendly minion, return it to life with full health. Not only is that like a nice little value heal, but it also does grant death rattles. Mind Flayer Courage, I hope I said that correctly. The Priest Legendary is another very, very good tempo tool. It's a 3-mana, I think 3/2, but Battlecry, you select one of the enemy minions and death rattle, you summon it. So if your opponent's got 8/8 on the board, then you just got 3-mana, 11/10, which is insane. So there are some pretty good aggressive tools for Priest. It will be fun to see if they can actually scrape something together here against the Hunter.
Yeah, they're going to have to do it pretty well, though. This hand doesn't look particularly amazing, but it's got all of the little stuff out of the way at the start of the game, with a great possibility, as long as the top of their deck behaves remotely sensibly, to have an amazing turn 3 or 4 with the Galvanizer potentially on 2.
Hot Air Balloon is another fun card this expansion. I'm a big fan. Little 1-mana 1/2, but every single turn it gains 1 health. As you can see there, as Jack Attack just passed turn, saving that coin. So Dead Ringer and a bunch of other death rattles in the deck, obviously. But Narina is doing some pretty filthy things here. Galvanizer into 0-mana Mecharoo. Yikes.
Yeah, the best way to play against this sort of Priest control is just to hit them and hope it all goes away. If you try and do clever things and hope the Priest sort of outvalue, it's not happening. You've just got to whack them in the face. Within sensible reason, at least.
Dead Ringer with Reborn means that Death Rattle is going to go off twice, which does mean 2 Death Rattles are going to be drawn. Shadowy Figure is also a very nice Death Rattle synergy card there, copying a Death Rattle that you have on the board. So we'll see if New Zealand can come up with something quite powerful. I like the look of this deck, Lorinda. I know that it didn't quite make it into the meta over the last week, but it's quite cool.
Yeah, it was hanging around on the edge of the meta to some degree. Like I said, I don't think it quite made it, like you've just said. But it's a good deck. I think the problem was that everyone tested out all the Galacons, and then when they realised that Shaman's Galacon was so good, Galacon Rogue sort of worked because Rogue is just good. But it wasn't much to do with the Galacon part of it. People just ended up playing Shaman. And that would have made it very difficult for these teams to playtest, because they can only playtest amongst their own grids. They can't talk to many other people outside for fear of their deck being distributed. So they had to playtest on ladder. If you're playtesting on ladder, all you're doing is playtesting against Shaman. Right.
And the other problem with this deck is that, although, there's lots of aggressive tools like this Mind Flayer, Priest's Galacron isn't very aggressive. It's very, very defensive. It's very value orientated. And I think Galacron's hero power and invoke ability of adding a random Priest minion to the hand, it just doesn't do enough.
Yeah, exactly. That's the other thing with the Shaman Galacron. Just the 2/1s are insane. Obviously, the Rogue getting your lackeys is pretty good. Random Priest cards. Priest cards are great when you actually get the ones you want, but random ones just don't synergize very well a lot of the time. There's too many different things that Priest tries to do.
Galacron's Battlecry destroys some minions. I mean, that's good. But compared to like Shaman's Battlecry, where you get some 8/8s on the board, and Rogues, where you draw up to 4 cards that cost 0, it doesn't quite compete with the other Galakrons.
Yeah, I mean, if you do get the 4 cards that cost 0, you're doing all right. But the problem is, it's so hard to boost your Galakron to not be dead by the time you play it. And you usually need those 4 cards just to get back in the game.
I wonder what this does.
Like you say, the Priest one, clearing the board once is pretty good. But Priest has cards that clear the board anyway, so why bother?
There it is. Is it going to get reborn as well? It's going to get reborn as well, isn't it?
Probably.
I mean, Jack Attack needs to play as defensively as possible here, because that is a lot of damage coming to the face at the moment. Yeah, can clear the 2-1, but there's still 6 on the board, 7, 8 including the hero power.
Yeah.
It's going to have to
And Mass Hysteria is not very good when you've got one massive minion and a lot of little ones. That's the best way to play against Mass Hysteria. And that's how Chinese Taipei have set up their board. But the Albatross, like I was saying earlier, proving to be an irritant because the stat line, it's very hard to kill off. It's not very hard to kill it off. It's very hard to go face with a 4-9 like you want to and kill off a 4-3. And if you don't kill it off, then your Mass Hysteria, in theory, would get worse. And that's why they've just boosted their biggest minion and said, okay, Mass Hysteria is still not a threat here.
Though what Jack Attack can do is Time Rip, which is essentially just an expensive Shadow Word Death here, unfortunately, to get rid of that 6-11. That removes most of the damage, but Narina has a tracking in hand. That could just find lethal.
It really could. Tough decision here. You really don't want to put the Priest on 9. You'd rather be on an even number for hero power reasons. It could definitely make a difference later on. Every point of damage basically has a 50% chance of lowering the clock by a turn.
That's a good info. All right, you know what? I take back everything I've said about Priest minions.
I mean, yeah, if you get the right Priest minions, they're fine. The problem is they just do too many weird and wonderful things.
He's 1 off lethal. No, sorry, he can't hero power as well. So it's 5, 6 damage, 3 off lethal right now. But the Death Battle does deal with the Albatross. That is quite scary.
Tracking into Albatross, Albatross, Albatross coming up.
The Water Bearer does heal back up to 8, but that would just be lethal on board if you played that.
Yeah, find something else to heal you.
Oh.
Nope.
That's just lethal, isn't it? Goes back up to 8, 5, 6 with the missile launcher, 7, 8 damage with the hero power. That's lethal.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it have been better to play the taunt?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, anything is better than leaving lethal on board, right?
Unless you think your opponents might accidentally trade and forget the 1 damage. Jack Attack might have been going for there, to be fair.
I'm not buying that. I think with that specific play, unless I'm missing something quite obvious, I think the taunt would have just been better. But either way, it was a losing game. It was a tough position for New Zealand. And now Chinese Taipei only have 1 deck remaining, and that is going to be the Holy Wrath Shivala Paladin. And this is it for New Zealand. This is what they've been planning for.
Yep, and they have 2 goes at it. And I think the Warrior might be the better of the 2 because it has got the Hakar as well, I believe. Let me just call up these decks. Oh no, this is the Bomb Warrior, sorry, which is the same sort of plan. You stick a load of bombs and Albatross in your opponent's deck, and it really messes up what the Paladin's trying to do. Get a chance to see Pathra's side of things. That's good to see.
I've been pointed out by Twitch chat who are quite right. I apologize. I take it back. Taunt would have meant hero power plus the missile launcher's effect was lethal. That's totally my bad. You're right. So either way, it was checkmate.
Pathra's setup looking very Christmassy. Been an ongoing member of this New Zealand team since the beginning of HGG. A lot of the success they have had has been down to Patra in this event.
Patra is an incredibly talented Hearthstone player.
And I mean, who else can work with Jack Attack anyway? I mentioned it before, but you've got to be so patient. Double Albatross.
Now that's fascinating, and that's exactly what you need to beat the OTK Paladin. Just anything to slow them down from drawing to their win condition.
The only problem being that the Paladin really does draw through cards quickly. It will slow them down by probably just 1 turn, maybe 2. But the 4 damage is also relevant. Obviously, the way you tend to beat Paladin is to hit them really hard. And with bombs in your deck as well as a bomb warrior, you know, those 4s are going to add up mighty quick.
The light bends my will.
Never much fun when you have to play your Kangor very early as the Paladin. You'd really rather it heal you up rather than just be fodder for the early turns.
This feels like such an unfair counter, doesn't it? Wrench Caliber, Albatross.
Yeah, there is a lot of nonsense going on here.
There's no Hikara in this deck, but it just isn't necessary because there's a lot of bombs. Even Sephorium Bomber. Double Wrench Caliber, Sephorium Bomber, double Clockwork Goblin, double Augmented Elec.
Alright, it's lens time. Always one of the highlights. 5-mana Novice isn't the best, but it's not a disastrous lens.
Oh, I mean, you take the 2-mana Holy.
Yeah, of course.
You definitely want that. I'd call that a very successful prismatic lens.
And this is the one of the issues with trying to beat the Paladin. Obviously, now it can cheat with multiple Chevalars. I'm just going to check this is that version. With Sapravar, etc. going on. You don't have to always just dodge the Holy Wrath. You have to dodge the million Chevalars that just come and take you down.
I hope you like my invention.
So that makes this counter a little bit less strong, but hitting people for 8 a turn is pretty terrifying.
Yep, you definitely can't argue that. Argue against that. But now Augmented Elec picked up with Wrench Caliber in hand. I don't believe there's any weapon destruction in the Paladin, as I just double check. But Patro can just set up that Wrench Caliber and start flinging bombs. Yeah, there's no weapon destruction in here. I mean, Zephyrus, if that counts. Can be weapon destruction, I guess.
Interesting they took out the Novice as well. Definitely have to take out the Blood Mage, because otherwise your Albatrosses were at risk. But I guess there's no point going face. You know the first damage is going to be healed up. But I'd have liked to have seen that 4 inserted into the face, personally.
Let me think.
What can Arena even do here? There's really not much going on. 5-mana Novice Engineer? Is it actually just the best play this time?
Oh my goodness. Depends what you want to do with the Consecration, if you want to save it or not.
Okay.
8's quite a lot to be taking, so... You know this deck hasn't got too much in the way of attack once the Albatross has gone, apart from, obviously, the point of the deck, the bombs and stuff, but... So they waited last turn on the Wrench Caliber. Now they're 1 turn away from playing Elec and Caliber on the same turn. Will they wait again?
What now?
Just a reminder to everybody watching that this, when it says previously recorded, this was recorded earlier in the week, but the results have not been broadcast on Twitch before. The games have not been broadcast on Twitch before, and we are here observing everything you say about us and all the lovely things you like to talk about. And I imagine that some of the players are probably lurking, watching as well, so they will be seeing what you say. for better or worse.
It's an explosion there from that bomb, shuffled in and drawn immediately. But now the Wrench Caliber is equipped. That augmented elect will be shuffling another 2 bombs next turn, I expect. Gotta admit, Patra's hand not looking too hot at the moment.
No, the weapons project not really where they want to be against the Paladin. But again, these hands develop quickly. Remember when this deck was just killing everything? We can remember that you'd get bad hands, but they'd sort themselves out one way or another. Especially if you were Gallon in Vegas.
It's just not. I mean, for both players, this just isn't doing much, is it? We're looking at a 1-1 Albatross and a 1-1 Novice Engineer up against a hand of nothing.
Yeah, Zephyrus being off is quite an irritant as well.
Oh yeah.
Chevalier, they're going to have to start launching spells at face soon to get the cost on that down. I know that's what the deck does, but they're getting nowhere quickly either, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, Hammer of Wrath can go face, Flash of Light can heal own face. You know, Narina does have an opening to do something. Christology will be helpful as well. There's still, I believe there's still a Thalnos in the deck and an Acolyte of Pain. So, and even burning them just wouldn't be a problem. Oh, there's also the Albatross. Christology can draw those.
Yeah, and both decks doing nothing favours the Paladin. Each turn you both do nothing, the Paladin's one turn closer to comboing.
Yes, that's right.
More Albatrosses. And this chip damage, for those who have been, I don't know, doing other things for the last 6 months, the chip damage can be very relevant in Paladin. Keeping the warrior below 25 can be important. Keeping it below 50 can also be important. None of it's quite as important as it was because you can make about 4 Chevaliers now, but still, if you want to win the traditional way the deck was built to be played, the chip damage can be very important. And like I said, this hand developing really nicely for New Zealand. No, it's not. Really isn't. They have drawn all of the rubbish.
Christology, though, another good draw from an arena there, because even if he just plays it now and just burns one of the cards, it doesn't matter. It's probably he'll probably end up burning one of the Albatross. There's still 2 left in the deck, I believe. And even if you burn an Acolyte, like it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, they've got all the bits and pieces they need. I guess they don't want to burn Sathava, but
yeah, but I mean just from the Christology. Like if you just play Christology to burn one of the cards with one attack, it's fine. Nice. Timeout can come in very handy against the bombs.
Now they just need to turbo through the deck.
I must move quickly.
And this is one of the difficult parts of this deck. It's quite straightforward to play in a lot of ways, but just not burning relevant cards and dumping things when you can is the hard part.
That's exactly what he would have wanted there, to burn an Albatross. Yeah, play the Elven Archer, just get it out of the hand. Make space for more cards with that Acolyte. I like it, I like this a lot.
Making space for more cards from the Acolyte by not pinging the Acolyte. It's right, it's just funny how it's worded.
C4 Bomber is another bomb. Ready to be
Oh, so interestingly here, Narina has shown he doesn't want to draw a card with the Acolyte.
What now?
Okay.
So normally burning cards for your opponent isn't good, but 3 lots of Warpath might be very tempting because Chinese Taipei have shown you they don't want to draw that card.
Okay. Yep. I'm with you.
So if they don't want to draw a card, make them draw the card.
Oh, there you go, and it looks like Patra and Jack Attack agree with you, Lorinda. My counter would have been maybe go with the Elec and the bombs first and try and draw a card later, but I guess you can do that at any time. Yeah,
the bombs would be more efficient if the deck is smaller anyway.
Yep.
So what's going to be burned? This card has to draw.
Wrath. Okay, nothing relevant. Let's see what the next card is.
survive the hammer,
Too full.
and survive the flash of light. They'll be
Alright,
very comfortable with that.
Yep. Also worth noting that Zephyrus is now active. Zephyrus into what's a powerful 7 drop that Zephyrus can give you? Maybe it just gives you high main on 7 mana. Don't think there's many good classic minions that are better than Savannah high main.
Yeah, Zephyrus is usually used defensively, isn't it, in this deck? But they haven't had any defending to do so far.
No. Very
Usually
odd.
this pretty awful draw here for New Zealand.
The only thing I'm concerned about regarding Patra reducing the amount of cards in Narina's deck like that is brings them close to the combo. And Narina does have two timeouts. So he can at some point, when there's all the bombs in the deck, he can play a timeout and then just draw as many cards as possible.
Yeah, I think they've accepted they're not going to win it without burning the card, though.
Right, okay.
Like Chinese Taipei have told you they haven't got the full combo by not drawing the card. New Zealand have drawn so badly they've made no inroads, no real progress.
Yeah.
So I think that they had a big shot there to just try and overdraw part of the combo. Because they don't know which part it is. We know it's only, air quotes, Sathvavar, but as far as they know, it could have been Chevalier, it could have been a lot more important than that.
Albatross everywhere.
Especially in Xanadu.
Okay.
That's a really obscure reference. No one's going to understand that reference without having read a very specific page of a very specific book.
I can tell you that I definitely do not understand that reference.
And it will take me a long time to explain as well.
So, interestingly, Patra has decided to play the Sephorian Bomber without playing the Augmented Elec. I wonder what she's waiting for with that. Maybe she wants to go double Elec, Clockwork Goblin, and hit him with a Wrench Caliber all on the same turn?
That's possible, yeah. They want to get all the damage in one turn, assuming the Paladin can still heal, so the bomb's now a little less relevant than bombs later, maybe?
But that's kind of risky, because you're saying I'm not willing to go off until I draw the Clockwork Goblin, which isn't necessarily going to be soon.
Right. I think they're just playing to their outs, though, here. Talking of playing to their outs, they want to draw 3 cards and give the opponent 6 armor.
I don't think they're too worried about the armor, but drawing the cards might help. The problem is, that does mean unequipping the Wrench Caliber, which again messes with the Augmented Elec plan.
What now?
They're saving for Super Elec here.
That belongs in a museum.
The draw does seem necessary, though. It's a brawl, okay. Blastmaster Boom, that could be really good. Actually, no, Blastmaster Boom's not that good, because even though there's bombs in the deck, Narina can just time out and then Pyromancer Equality.
Yeah.
It's just not a big deal.
No, but it's more stuff removed. You've got to make them have it, you've got to make them remove it. And unfortunately, I mean, the way the deck works is it tells your opponent you can't have everything, but the Paladin deck can have everything because it draws so much stuff.
Patra's getting to that point, though. 46 health. If she can just gain a little bit more armor, she might actually be able to survive the double Holy Wrath.
Yeah, they've got the Brawl, so they can survive some Chevaliers.
Right, a
And the
second
Shield
weapons
Slam.
project as well.
So,
Interesting.
certainly in position to survive a lot of what is going to come at them here. But it does... The 7/5 Divine Shield, just forget everything else, is not to be underestimated.
Move quickly.
Knowing you're going to get that chip damage in while possible. Popping that timeout early is... I can understand why he did it, but it's risky. Especially as we can see there are plenty of reasons why Narina may want timeouts in the future. Narina may want to use 2 timeouts in the future you know, one for the Blastmaster Boom, one for the drawing all of the bombs turn. But he's not going to be able to do that anymore.
They are down to only 6 cards, so I think
Only one
that's why
bomb
he
as well.
decided to take the chance. Pretty close to the end of the deck. And not many more threats to come apart from the bombs, which obviously is threats, but a full hand might help them there.
You know what, Lorinda, looking at the board, you'd think that Descent of Dragons wasn't even out yet.
Wouldn't you? Yeah. And that was one of the issues these players face. It's what do we bring? Holy Wrath Paladin happened to be good in the new meta at the time anyway, and all of the other decks. What did you bring? What did you playtest? How did you do it?
Yep, on very limited time.
And I love it. I love tournaments that take place immediately after changes to the meta. I think it really brings out the imagination of the players, as you can see with these 2 decks we've seen for a whole year. But there's plenty of other imagination that we will see as going forwards that is going to be well worth it, I think.
All right, well, there is the Clockwork Goblin, and Alex still in hand, which is great. That's still 2 bombs, but there's still, having lost the Wrench Caliber, there is still a loss of potential bombs that can be shuffled in. There's been something a little bit strange here about the sequencing, about holding onto the Elec. When there was that turn earlier where Elec into Swing Wrench Caliber, into Sephorian Bomber was possible, but I mean, I can only assume that Patra and Jack Attack are holding on to the Elec for a massive bomb turn later, but I'm starting to wonder if we're going to get there.
Yeah, they're going for a more guaranteed version of the OTK, but Chinese Taipei can't play around it if it comes. If you put 6 bombs in your opponent's deck when they've got no cards, they haven't played timeouts. That's kind of the dream scenario. But getting there is not as easy as it sounds.
Sathrovar now drawn, which is really interesting because if Narina wants to, he could go Shivala Sathrovar. It would allow Narina to heal back up to full health this turn, whilst also not using up a Shivala for the Holy Wrath combo. Because Sathrovar's effect, for anyone that doesn't know, summons a second copy of a minion on the board, adds a copy of it to the hand, and shuffles a copy of the minion into your deck.
Yeah, and I think they can assume that despite the slightly scary health total for the warrior, if they don't die in the next 2 or 3 turns, they won't die at all.
Yep.
The warrior just won't be able to insert damage. So with that in mind, just healing up here for 18 minus the 4 that you give the opponents back, so equivalent of 14, seems very worthwhile. Sorry, 14 minus 4, 10. Not enough coffee. Now you've got to do it all again. Not very often you don't want to draw Dr. Boom Mad Genius at the end of a game, but just not relevant at this point. Apart from the 7 armor, that's a thing, but you've got to get rid of these Chevalars, not just twice, but twice more after that, and then there's Bankers after that.
How do they ever get the damage in? I mean, these decks are all there to counter the Paladin, but maybe this one isn't quite good enough. Maybe a single Hakara in the deck is what it would have taken.
Yeah, it is double elimination, so if they do lose this, we'll probably get another look at how this works out. But they drew very badly at the start, I feel, here. Yeah, when you're in a situation where you're blowing up your own board just to stay alive against a combo deck, things aren't going your way.
The board has been cleared, but that's just not good enough. And still only 45 health, so Patra is
Oh.
not going to survive a double Holy Wrath at this rate anyway. Zephyrus, very much active.
Drawing the Chevalier was just not what they wanted at all here, though.
Let
Just because
me
now they've got to
think.
fiddle around.
Right. Just, you know what? I don't mind just playing a Tyrion this turn, Lorenzo.
Yeah, it's tempting, isn't it?
Zephyrus into Tyrion. Seems good. As long as Zephyrus doesn't randomly offer a
Let
Ysera
me
instead.
think.
Well, the other problem is the weapons project on the other side. So
Okay.
Tyrion's still good, but he's not quite the hefty beefcake that he normally is.
True. Hefty beefcake.
I must move quickly.
Sure. Is that what I said?
Making me hungry.
Your wish is my suggestion. Put your faith in the light.
Question is, how does Patra deal with it? I guess weapon in plus shield slam would do the trick, but you're taking a lot of damage that way. Double
Very
shield slam is
irritating.
wasting too many resources.
Yeah, although you're not going to have much armor for long, so you might as well use the shield slams while you still got them.
Yeah, that's very true.
No tomb can hold me. No tomb can hold me.
But yeah, the bigger picture is that's just another turn where they've achieved nothing.
Yes.
Yes, they've cleared
Yes.
a board, they've achieved something, but
Nobody's really been slowed down. Nothing has really changed this game. Narina is still just looking like it's going to be lethal in the next few turns.
yeah, it's a bit awkward. They've got to get some chip damage in because the weapons project's taken them over 50. It was a nice opportunity to use the weapons project without having to skip a beat in that regard. Because they wanted to play for the
True.
armor, but they weren't trying to. Yeah, they didn't have to waste it as such. They eliminated the opponent's Zephyrus basically because of it.
True, but there's still Shrivalas for Patra to deal with.
It's time to test your
Mhm.
metal.
Many Shrivalas. The scary thing is about the discounted Holy Wrath is that the entire combo
Reporting
can be done in
duty.
one turn.
Yeah.
Oh no, it can't. It can't quite because the bankers are two. Yeah, no, it's 11 mana.
They're now in a position where they can put 4 bombs into the opposing deck in one go themselves.
Okay,
So their
Okay.
own chip damage is a little bit relevant as well.
Job's done.
Patra's still holding back, just waiting until the last possible moment so that she can try and make the Shivala combo awkward. The thing to remember about the bombs is that if Narina doesn't draw the bomb, if Narina draws the final card and it's Shivala, and there's still bombs in the deck, it does prevent the combo for an extra turn.
Hmm.
Let me think.
So those bombs could still make all of the difference.
I'm almost out of cards.
It always makes me happy to see bombs. I don't know why.
To test your metal.
And just getting the health back that they took from the bomb.
Yep. While banking the first 25 damage, I don't see why not.
Yes, it's actually good to do this as well. I think they've seen both shield slams now anyway, but Warriors like their armor. Just get rid of it.
And this prevents Patra from doing elect double bomb because she needs to deal with the board. Oh, French Caliber drawn as well. Patra needs to go Brawl Ziliax here though. And it's still no. Narina can't play the Shivala and the True Silver Champion and also the Holy Wrath on the banker this turn. So if Patra brawls, if one of the minions she can deal with survives and she Ziliaxes into it, I believe she survives next turn.
Yeah, that's the question. Because you can also Ziliax first to give yourself more chances of winning. or you can take the 2 in 3 the other way.
Yeah, the problem with Ziliax first is that then if the 2-2 or the 3-2 survive, Patra still instantly loses the game.
Okay, so if you Ziliax first,
Yeah.
you would kill off the 2-2, one of the 2-2 3-2s first, get a 1 in 3 chance of your Ziliax winning, or you get a 1 in 3 chance of. Yeah, so you don't Ziliax first. It's the same either way.
You Ziliax afterwards, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you do.
Whoa. Oh, okay, yep. I forgot about the magnetized effects there. So actually, that's a really good solution. Very well spotted there by Patra and Jack Attack.
So how? Yeah, you're still going to have one more of these to deal with. You've seen them using more and more convoluted ways of dealing with your Chevalars, so getting this 25 banked and then just trying to get the other damage in there is the only way they're going to get to do this.
Oh, this is so close.
2 silver's worth 8. But Dr. Boom, if they can just get 1 turn of clear, he would have that 7 armor. But it's going to be too slow.
That True Silver is terrifying on its own. Even if Patra deals with the board here, she's just dead to the True Silver in hand. She needs to draw. She needs to draw a taunt, and then she needs the taunt to win the brawl.
Yes. There's probably some other weirdness, but yeah, that's basically what it is. Can she do 30? I don't think so. Well, 29. No, they play the timeout now, so New Zealand can't even perform their plan.
Well, the timeout only lasts until the opponent starts the turn, so any bombs drawn, I believe, would still detonate. Shield Slam is a good start, I guess.
Yeah, shield block.
Yeah. Okay.
Narina's not enjoying this. It's the first game, I think, in the whole of HGG that he's been a little bit more, I don't know, not quite the smiley face he's been through most of it. But here we go. He's back to himself now.
Oh. Shivala survived the brawl, and I believe with that, all Patra can do is armor up. 7 damage on the board. True Silver is 4 damage in hand. Narina is going to take this series with Chinese Taipei, and they will be moving on to the winners bracket of this group. Sadly, New Zealand's Warrior weren't quite able to get through the Cheval Parlor, and Narina is just the picture of joy at the moment.
It's a mess to me. I don't know about the picture of joy. It looks like he's going to be ruined for the rest of the day. And this is still another group stage. It's the 3rd group stage they're going through, so they haven't qualified for that top 4 yet. Still 1 more match to win against the winners of our next match.
Absolutely. Well, we have still got plenty of Hearthstone coming up this weekend. We're going to be concluding Group A today, the whole of Group A. We're going to be doing Group B tomorrow, and we are going to be moving on to the finals, the semi-finals and the finals on Sunday. So don't go anywhere. We are going to be moving on to the 2nd Group A match, which is coming up after this.